All right. I said I was gonna do this video. It's not gonna be in order. I'm gonna be jumping back and forth in timelines. But this is how the music thing. This is how I got into like different shit. Now I can't remember. I can't exactly remember what year this was, but when I was a baby, um, wait, when was it? It had to have been like in the 80s. Um, let's see. When did this song come out though? That's when I need to figure it out. Okay, it was okay. From what my mom told me, she said when I was a baby, I used to like the song "You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party" by the Beastie Boys. I don't remember that. I remember the video, but my mom said I liked it. Now I don't remember that. Then I remember seeing like Tina Turner from Beyond Thunderdome. It was around all that same time. But like I said, I didn't know, but I was conscious enough to know that the first group that I listened to was the Beatles, and when Run DMC and Aerosmith had Rock This Way. That's what I remember. And so, growing up, listening to different stuff like that, and then like my real earliest memory, like it was the Beatles and like Michael Jackson's like his Bad album. And then I remember my mom, she had like George Michael. She got what was this chick's name? Samantha Fox, Jody Watley. Like it was like a Pump Up the Volume, like that. I really remember. I remember all that. And so, growing up, hearing because Beavis and Butthead was like a big thing, and they used to have different like songs. You know how they used to watch the. Whoever remembers Beavis and Butthead used to have like music videos playing, and it was like all types of music that they used to listen to, and that's like another thing. Like I heard like different songs and groups, but I used to have this tape, and I remember taping Ironic by Alanis Morissette on it. And it was like a whole bunch of other stuff. But growing up, it was more like music from video games was like the biggest thing. Like the Sonics, the Risstars, the Ninja Turtle stuff. You know what I'm saying? But then, it was a mixture of different like rap music, rock music, but it was more rap, especially in 98. Like I wouldn't say 98, it was like, let me go back, like 96. Like with the like or even before that, like A Tribe Called Quest. Then Busta Rhymes came out with us with The Common, and then When Disaster Strikes. And that was like a big thing, and Make 'em Sing by Master P. Like those was like real big things going on back then. But then in 99, when I found out about like, cause I used to watch this channel called the I Channel. And so um it was like these Asian people. Like when I found out about Korea, cause I didn't know, cause like I said this in the last, like one of my last videos. I was like, I saw this game show, and I was familiar with Chinese and Japanese writings, but I wasn't familiar with how Korea looked like. But it was fascinating because they had like circles. That's what I called them. Like that's how I identified it. I was like, what are these circles? Like in the writing, and I found out it was Korean. So I was like, oh, okay. So there's like another Asian group out there, and so that was cool. But then I saw it was this channel. It was like a channel called Video Music Heaven or Video Music Haven. I can never remember which one it was. But they had like the Korean like basically K-pop. And I was like, what is this? I was like, this was some cool shit. And this was in '99. And it was like Jinju Shan with Ayo. I know I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Her name is Park Jan Yoon. And then she had the song called Adult Ceremony. And then it was like HOT and GOD. And it was just like, I was hooked. I mean, the shit was the shit. Just that whole K-pop back then, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like who was that? Papaya. Then it was like Harasu with Turbo. Like it was like Baby Vox. And I remember like cause what Trevor Noah said, he had a CD writer and he had his computer and everything, but we called it a CD burner. And I remember my friend, this was like around that whole Napster type, but it was what was it called? Kazam or Kazaa, some shit like that. He had like another version. It wasn't Napster. He had a different one. I think it was Kazaa, some shit like that. It was something like that. Anyway, and we used to get a lot of songs from there. And then we had like, you know, Drunken Tiger. Like we was just getting any like Korean like stuff we can get. And then it was like this chick. She had her name was Lee something. Oh, then it was Boa. We had her stuff, but it was this Lee. Her name is Lee something with the H, and the song, like the video was like this. It was a song to a movie, and the movie was in a school, like a high school, and some people was getting killed. I was hunting that song down. I didn't rest until I got it. And I finally got it in 2007. I remember that. And then like, that's how I knew about K-pop. Way before BTS. I'm pretty sure then BTS was like infants. So seeing this whole Korean wave, I remember me and Sean was like, we was kind of laughing at that. Like, yo, we was into this way before anybody even knew where Korea was. I mean, we was like heavy into this shit. You know what I mean? But then like, because I even told this story before, like even going up to high school, because I remember when Stupefied by Disturbed came out, I was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? And then I got the CD, and then like some dude was like, what song were you listening to? And so I was like, it's Disturbed. And he was like, why you listening to this white boy music? And I was like, because a motherfucker can. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like we was talking about, and then we was talking about like Linkin Park, like we're Crawling. But see, at the time though, which was weird, that a lot of people like in the end though, and One Step Closer. So like, I don't know, maybe a lot of people didn't get hooked up to Linkin Park like that then, but I remember enough people like that though. You know what I'm saying? Because that was just weird. Because I remember it was like these, like, because our school was kind of like everybody was there. Like, we had like Asian kids. Like, it was a few of them, like Kong and them. But then it was like Steve and what was his name? I think Daryl. Something like that. You know, like a lot of white kids. Like, because in high school we was listening to like I said, in high school we was listening to everything. We was listening to like we was listening to DMX because this dude looked like DMX that slammed this girl down on the ground. Like, we was like listening to everything, like Missy. Then we'll listen to like that. I know I was doing it. And I was listening to the Deftones, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Method Man, Rage Against the Machine. Especially in high school, it was like a whole different thing. Like, I mean, like System of a Down. Like, we was listening to some, like, a whole bunch of shit. So it was like, you know, people didn't heat up too hard if they didn't know. If they knew what it was, then they didn't heat up too much. But if they didn't, it was like a whole thing. Because I remember they used to clown this black kid, and he used to like, because this was like 2001, somewhere around there. So, you know, the whole like Columbine thing was, you know, that was still kind of fresh in people's mind. You know, because there was these two white kids that we used to call Columbine. And they never used to talk, and they used to come with like black, like they had on long coats, and we used to call them Columbine, and they never used to say anything. They only talked to each other. But I remember he drew this bulldog in a blue pen, and I was like, yo, that's pretty tight, because I never seen nobody draw a straight pen before and actually look good. I drew in pencil, then I inked it in pen, but he drew a bulldog in straight blue pen. And I was like, that's cool. And that's the first time I heard him say something. He was like, yeah, thanks. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, the black kid, he used to come to school like wearing like black trench coats, and he used to dress like, had like makeup and everything. People used to thought he was weird, and people used to heat up on him. So I was like, man, get off his back. You know, let him like listen to the music he listens to. And I remember he was like, oh, that's cool that you stuck up for me. And so he made me a CD, and it had a whole bunch of other stuff on it. But anyway, like like I said, we was listening to all types of shit. And then I remember, like, even going back, this had to have been in like 94. I remember hearing Bjork. I think it was Human Behavior. And it was on MTV. And so, years later, I remember my friend, he got her CD. I think it was Aurora. And then it was like that. And then he had like Lacana Coil. I listened to that all the time. Like, listen to them. Like, the CDs they had. Because I think he had Coma Lie. And I remember I got the CD after that. Was it Coma Code? But dude has this, like, he has his face in his hand. You see what I'm saying? And then like I remember getting Cypress Hill. I think it was called Valley of Chrome. Like I said, it was just like a whole bunch of stuff we was into. So that's how, you know, and then like hearing different like songs like around the world. Cause I remember I was like, everybody's rapping all over the world. So I was like saying, I like went to Russian rap. And then there was this dude called Rush the Russian Rapper. And then I started getting to like other like Russian songs, not just like, it would just be pop ballads or just ballads period. Like this one chick, and this, I can't, her name was Polania, I think that's her name. And she got this video, and this dude is trying to get her, and then there's like this clock ticking down, and then he like the city is like shutting off behind him while he's running, and he couldn't get her. But then this pod opened up, and this new dude came out. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm like I said, my music stuff is going all over the world. Then like my mom, like in 2010, got hooked up. Like my mom growing up knew about like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and like all this other stuff, and like Prince and Michael Jackson, just all this other stuff. So that's how I was like introduced to all these things growing up. But for some reason, she missed Led Zeppelin and got hooked up to them in 2010. You know what I'm saying? But I remember Puff Daddy did Come With Me, and he had the Cashmere sample to it. That's how I knew about it. But like I said, in 2010, she started being heavily into Led Zeppelin. And so that's how I heard a lot of their songs. And then I like saw Eddie Kramer at this like kind of like a master class of how to like make like different music, have different tones and feelings and all that. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we used to listen to all types of stuff. I figured out who Linkin Park was in like 2002. And I don't even know why people were seriously sitting up there getting on them about, what was it? I think, not Meteoro. It was one of their CDs. But like, Linkin Park been always the shit to me. Linkin Park to me never made a bad song. There was a few people that I could think of off the top of my head that never made a bad song. Linkin Park was one of them. Every song on Outkast Aquemini, I remember it was December 99. Bro, I remember Joshua brought that CD over to my house, and we was like listening to that religiously. And another dude that never like Michael Jackson, like he never made a bad song. It's very few people that make bad songs. And even if it was like a song that was kind of like iffy, it was still good, but it wasn't as good as the others. But in comparison, though, it was just never bad. But you know, like even listening to like Biggie and everything. And see, here's the thing. Growing up in Chicago, or the Chicagoland area, people were more into Biggie than Tupac. This is going to be kind of a controversial like thing. More people were into Biggie than Tupac because, like, you know, we used to listen to like cause the whole growing up, the East Coast, West Coast was a big thing. But we were more closely to New York than LA. And even speaking on that, I remember my dude, Corey Vassar. We used to say he looked like one of the dudes from Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. Yeah, that's another thing, Bone Thugs. You know what I'm saying? But we listen to more New York, like Wu-Tang and all these other dudes from New York than the East Coast. Not saying East Coast wasn't cool, but it was more because we got the same kind of weather. we kind of like carry ourselves a little bit like New York. We wasn't like in comparison. You see what I'm saying? But to what people may believe or not believe, I don't know. But Tupac was just like he was cool, especially in comparison to nowadays. He was cool, but he wasn't as big like how he is now. They mythological, like myth. They turned him into a myth and stuff now. So he wasn't like that huge to us as other people made him out to be now. He was just a rapper. He was there. He was cool, but it wasn't like now until both of them died. That's when the shift happened. Because there was other rappers. You see what I'm saying? Like when they say like, oh, Tupac is a poet. It's like anybody who wrote their own songs was like a poet technically. You know what I'm saying? So like they're putting extras on Tupac. Now people from LA probably look at Tupac differently. Damn, what the fuck is going on out there? Anyway, people looked at Tupac differently. Most likely, because they're in LA, he was in LA. But here in Chicago, see, we're like basically almost caught in the middle. But we're, like I said, more close. We're more similar to New York than LA. But people growing up, I mean, they listened to Tupac, but it was like, it was more like anybody who was cool. You know what I'm saying? But it was like more Biggie than Tupac. Like I said, until like they died and they boosted Tupac up, that's when the shift changed. You see what I'm saying? But even like this one dude, I remember he compared the Wu-Tang Clan. It was something back in the day. I'm not clear on the whole thing, but he kind of associated the Wu-Tang members with like cartoon characters, and then they caught them and then they beat them up. It was something like that. But I'm gonna be on some real shit though. As a kid growing up, I'm not saying they were, but it had that same, I wouldn't say that same feeling. But okay, like growing up as a kid in the 90s, it was video games, cartoons, rap music. And you had the like Looney Tunes, like you knew who Bugs Bunny was, like you knew Daffy Duck from Donald Duck, like you had the Tasmanian Devil, you had like just the whole Looney Tunes type thing, or like, Mickey Mouse and stuff. These was like, you could see them without their names being listed and you knew who they were. Rap music was kind of technically not the same thing, but it was like every rapper had a distinctive style. I'm gonna really get on this new shit. Every rapper had their distinctive style. You knew, even if they came from the same region. Like you had DMX, Method Man, Biggie. You knew who they were. They could utter one syllable, pause the song. You knew exactly who they were. You didn't even need to hear nothing else. You just automatically, that's Method Man. That's Tupac. That's Bone Thugs. Like you knew who they're like, because you had like Onyx, you had like Bone Thugs, like you had people like rappers in groups. You had the Fu-Snickers, you had rappers in groups. You knew who they were. You knew who Busta Rhymes from DMX were, even though they had the same like aggressive energy, but you knew who was who. Any rapper back then, you knew exactly who it was. You didn't need to hear nothing. You knew who Redman was. You knew who Redman and Method Man were, even though they was together like enough times, but You just knew they had their own unique style. Now it's just I can't get into. The only thing I can get into is the beat of new rap music. It's just the beat. It's just how it is. It's just how like this new stuff ain't because even back in the day, they used to talk about like a whole bunch of shit, and it was cool because it was new. I'm not gonna get too far into exactly what people was talking about. And then you had like NWA and Ice Cube and just the whole the Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. Like you had real shit back in the day. Without saying anybody's name, this new stuff ain't hitting. It's just I don't want to sound like an old head or nothing, but it's just like, what are you really saying that we haven't heard 20 some odd years ago before you were even born? We heard this shit already. It just sounds like it's like basically the same thing, but it's just almost incoherent. It's nothing like real to the shit hardly. Some people may be coming up with some real shit, but that's just how it is, man. It's just like there's nothing distinctive about these dudes. It's not nothing that you could just pause this dude like he could just utter one syllable and you could pause the song and be like, that's so and so or that's the other dude. But like I said, back in the day, you could just pause and just be like, that's like Raw Digger from the Flip Mode Squad. Like she don't even need to say nothing else. Or that's MC Light or Queen Latifah. Like these are some real people. Salt and Pepper, like basically anybody in Who's the Man. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same. It's not the same feeling. Like I said, the beat is cool. But it's and even still, even with the beat, it just seems too watered down. It's just like here's like from an artist's perspective. It's just like if you look at anime from like the Cowboy Bebop days, like the 90s, like in the 90s. It just was like you could feel that they did some hand drawn shit and they painted it. It had this feel that it was like somebody put their hands on it. And that's like how rap was. It was like somebody crafted that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they crafted the shit with their hands. Now when you hear stuff now, and just like when anime, it just seems too watered down. Like you heavily use Photoshop, or like it's like the same care is not put into the anime. Just like with this music, it's just too Fruity Loop. It's like you use Fruity Loops too much. It's just too mechanical sounding. Back then, it felt like that shit came from the streets. That shit felt real. It just felt real back in the day. And you knew who these dudes were. They had their own fucking style. You knew who these dudes were. Now it's just not the same. And it's not like, things have to evolve, but what did they evolve to though? You see what I'm saying? It's one thing if it's something evolving for the better, but it's just like, what is this? It just devolved into something silly. It just doesn't feel real. Like how the shit was back in the day. Like I said, you had Cypress Hill. You had all these, like I said, you don't even see people in groups no more. It's just everybody just want to be their own dude. But at least, like I said, you had a Tribe Called Quest. Even though like Buster split and then he had his thing, but then he still had a group. Then he still had a group of people. You see what I'm saying? Like Rampage, Lord Have Mercy, Raw Digger, what was that, Baby Sham and all them. Like it was just, I mean, even the Ghetto Boys. You know, I watch Willie, I watch Willie D, like on YouTube and everything. But even still, like you had like even like Outkast, you had groups, you had the Goody Mob. You see what I'm saying? Like even though they were from the South, like No Limit. I mean, it was just God damn, man. I'm saying, I'm just on some like I said, I'm not trying to compare them to like they're like jokey like cartoon characters, but what I'm saying is they was just so distinctive that you just knew who they were. And even if you didn't see them, you could just go off this just a sound, just off of somebody uttering one syllable. You knew who they were before they said anything else. It's not the same. Some people may like certain people, but it's just even still, it's like even what you're saying, you're basically saying the same shit that we've heard. You see, like it's like you're not bringing nothing that new to the table. Like I said, I'm not saying no names, but it's just like it just ain't got that same feeling. But then, truth be told, like you will have like my mom's generation, which me and my mom's generation are not that far apart. Well, we kind of are, but like you will have like my grandparents, like everybody's generation always has their set of music, and the other stuff that comes out after that is just, it ain't good. It's just automatic because you have different like affiliations to certain music. Like I remember hearing Busta Rhymes Woo Ha for the first time, or like I was talking about Outkast. You see what I'm saying? Or like these different like groups, or like Wu-Tang Cream. Like you know where you was at, or like there was part of your childhood. Now growing up, it's like all this new music is just automatic bad. Because I remember Blackish made a episode about that. Like he had like Biggie in one of his ads, but then Diana was saying like, oh, you need to do some young shit, and he was like, he couldn't get into it. You see what I'm saying? But like the newer generation, like this new stuff is their shit because they didn't grow up hearing anything better. They think this is better. You see what I'm saying? But I mean, hell, like even Lupe Fiasco, like I would say him. You know, he's not young, but he's not new either. But like especially when I heard of, like he had Superstar, I heard that in '08 in New Mexico. And then hearing his story, like he liked the same shit I like fighting games and anime. Like I was like, oh shit, this dude, and he's from Chicago, so it was like, oh, this dude is like, you know, he's basically speaking my language. But what he was saying was on some like other shit that nobody was talking about. Like he's talking about skateboards and animes and video games. Like that wasn't a thing back then. So it was like back then, at least in '08, that was still something new. And he had his cadence about the shit was like old school. And even like listening to MF Doom, and then like Kanye in his early years. You see what I'm saying? Like this new stuff, it just ain't the same. But like I said, younger people gonna like this shit because this is their generation or whatever. But like if I ever have kids, they gonna be listening to some even dumber shit. I'm gonna just be like, unless somebody changes something. But if somebody kind of wanted to ask me, like, when do you think, because I keep talking about this all the time. In my honest opinion, everything got bad. Or I will say this, it started to get bad when in the year 2000. That's when, to me, that's when it started. It was like everything was at its peak. But then, like, after, like I said, 2000, then it started going down. In 2005, that's when it was kind of like, it was just like I wouldn't say anybody could do it. It was like what was called ringtone rap. That term came out like no, I think that came out in 2007. But it was in 2005, it was just something changed about just rap music, period, in general. But it was still holding on, though. But then in 2007, when Fruity Loops came out, then it was like any and everybody could make a song now. It wasn't like you had to, like, do some real shit to get on. Because I remember, like recently Busta just made this, like, he been saying this in a couple of interviews, how he went through some boot camp with Chuck D. Oh yeah, and then you got Public Enemy and X-Clan. You know what I'm saying? I forgot about them, but like you had, like, you know, he had to go through some boot camp, and they had to do some shit, and it was like, see, nobody would do something like that now, because it's just I could get Fruity Loops, make a song, put it on YouTube or SoundCloud or wherever, and then just get discovered. There's no hard work to this shit. It's just anybody can do it. It's like nobody discovering you, like you sending out your tapes, like how I think Master P was like selling his CDs out the trunk of his car. You ain't got to do that now. It's just, I'm putting it on YouTube, and then just people just like my shit, and I could just make one song, eat enough off that one song, and think I'm like a legend. Like, no, bro, you ain't no legend. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're not like I'm not even gonna say the obvious, but you're not gonna be like some dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Like these dudes' songs back in the day will live on forever. Cause it's just like I said, it was hard to get in anyway. Like even I was hearing, like, on Vice, how Papa Roach, how they got in. They had to do some real shit. Like, I haven't heard any good rock music in a long time. You see what I'm saying? Like even going back, like hearing the Red Hot Chili Peppers and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, Deftones, Disturbed, Lacuna Coil. Like, those are like older groups. Like, I couldn't name one like rock group now on some I mean, Mushroom Head and Static X and Slipknot. Like I said, I couldn't name anybody new now, cause it's just like, it just feels like stuff is just not the same. And it's just like these new dudes, like, I would like for them to be on some real shit, but it's just like they just don't want to do it, because it's not about partying. They want to make party songs. It ain't nothing real. It's like life is just one big party, and it's not. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just kind of like, now I'm gonna say this though. Sometimes some of these new dudes can make a good song though. Sometimes, like once every blue moon. Like this one dude I heat up on. I don't like his songs any other time, but he made one song though, and it is hitting real hard. I was like, I actually like this. But like I'll say, 95% of the time, it's just like I said, it's just not the same. I don't care what anybody say. Like I said, I'm from the old school. You know what I mean? Like I'm listening to like even now, even now, like I said, because growing up is like my tastes have changed. I don't even like I listen to like old school rap music, but if I'm not, I'm listening to like indie tronica now. I'm listening to Toya Yamura or like Empire of the Sun or um like I gotta like look on my phone. But I'm listening to like other stuff that's not like soul. Who else? I mean, if I go through my phone, like I just scrolled up and saw Metallica. I mean, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm listening to the Gorillas, or like there was this old group called 5.0, but they was like underground. You know, I'm listening, but even with the indie shit, cause even with GTA, I listen to Radio Mirror Park, and so I figured out like who the Feathers were, or Toya Yamura, or something like that. But you know, I'm listening to stuff like that nobody would ever like battle tapes or who else? Who was this dude? Daniel Wilson, Digital Diggers, or you know, just all this other stuff that people wouldn't like think I would listen to, like Living Days of, you know, just all this other stuff, just all this other stuff that, like, cause I just things have changed. People be like, "What? You listen to that?" Like, yeah, I mean, the shit is actually cool. I have no problem with the shit. Like, what was the Empire of the Sun? Walking on the Dream? That song is shit. But I'm listening to like all this other stuff, like Public Memory. Oh, is that the song? Like, I'm not sure, but whatever. But that's what I'm listening to now. Just a whole bunch of other stuff. But even like going back to like different like regions and shit. Like, who was my group? The Gazette. They was Japanese. Like, I used to listen to them heavy. And then my man Slack, he was like this Japanese rapper. But it just off American shit, it's just, I mean, it's just how it is. Like I said, this is me growing up. I'm not saying, like I said, if you like this new stuff, I mean, more power to you. I'm not for it. But if that's you and you like it, then that's on you, bro. But that's not, like I said, cause I've heard I heard better. But some, like I said, some people think this shit is better because this is what they grew up hearing, and they're on their own they're on their own journey. But like I said, every generation likes their like childhood music and have fond memories of the shit. But the newer stuff is just like, what is this? You know what I mean? That's just, it's just how it is. Even younger kids now, when they have kids and they hear their kids stuff, they're gonna be like, nope, because the stuff now, that's their golden age. That's wow. That's just some strong shit to say, but wait a minute. What side is this on? I mean, that's just how it is. Cause even like with BTS. Wait a minute, what? Even with BTS, like they're doing their thing, they're cool and everything, I guess. But like I said, I remember K-pop in '99, 2000, like AO, or like I said, like Baby Vox, or just all these like Korean, like Lady T. She was like half black and Korean. Like that was the shit. Cause this is the first time I'm hearing it, and it was like oh, like these Korean dudes are sitting up here rapping and shit. That was like the greatest thing I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? Cause it was like they was rapping, and it was like even in their language, it was like you can feel it. You didn't even I mean, I know a smidge of Korean. I couldn't speak to like a kid or nothing, but I just know little phrases and shit. But you like, for me, it was just like I didn't have to understand what they were saying, but I understood what they were saying. I felt that shit. Oh, I felt that shit. You see what I'm saying? And it was like the earliest ones was like New ABO, and that was in '09 when I heard them. Just like the girls doing their thing and everything. Yeah, I think they were New ABO. But anyway, but yeah, like I said, when I first heard K-pop back in '09, it was just like nothing could compare to that. It's just like hearing Busta Rhymes like woo ha, how he had the colorful coats, and he was just wild, and even in the beginning when everything remains raw, how he was just in the truck with Spliff, and he was like he was grabbing them, and he was just like doing his thing, like he was like mad crazy. You see what I'm saying? So it was just like, it was just on some new like shit. You see what I'm saying? Like nobody could compare to that. Nobody could compare to how Busta Rhymes came out with Woo Ha. Like now, it was just, unless some dude literally copied his style and got just as crazy and wild as he is. Like that's the only way you could pull that off. It's like, but when he came out with Woo Ha, and he I think that was the son in the video, how he grabbed him. He was just like, he was basically not saying like in comparison, but he was like the Tasmanian devil. He was the one that was wild. He was just coming through like, I'll walk around, I'll fuck around, walk through brick walls, fuck around, hijack your whole shopping mall. Like that was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that was some wild shit. Man, it's not gonna be the same. It's just not gonna be the same. And that's just like, I'm not trying to say nothing, but like DMX was barking in his songs, like, and it was, come on, man. Like I said, that shit was different, and it was new, and it felt real. Like hearing anything Ice Cube said, Snoop, anybody, that shit felt real. It don't feel real now. Like going back to K-pop, like hearing those songs back in the day, it just felt real. Like I said, I didn't have to understand what they were saying. That shit felt real. BTS, they're just too new. Cause it's just like, yeah, I mean, you hear the Korean craze and everybody's happy and they got books and shit in the stores, but it was just like, yeah, I mean, where were y'all at in 99 and 2000? You see what I'm saying? Like I said, it's just a different feeling. But that's all I can say now, man. I mean, just off the music shit, and then now you got like emo rap. These phrases might be old, but I'm just saying, like, when I heard about like these phrases and terms and shit, and you hear people talking about like their feelings, like nobody was talking about their feelings like that in rap music. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to commit suicide and everything. Like, suicide is like a real thing, but nobody was talking about that shit. Like, except for like My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me, but it wasn't like it was emo though. It was, like I said, that shit was real. Do you understand that? Like, My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me, that's an anthem. That's an anthem to somebody. You know what I'm saying? This stuff, these songs I'm talking about are anthems to somebody. And it just was, like I said, it's just not one and done. It was just like these dudes had longevity. They was talking about some real shit. Like, I mean, how somebody's feeling about suicide is real, but like I said, nobody really talked about that. I mean, but it'd be like these dudes, you see what I'm saying? Like, they grew up in these streets. They talked about real shit. Now, it's just like, what are you talking about? Like I said, life ain't a party all the time. People want to hear some real shit. But then at the same time, though, you're not bringing nothing. And it is like a double-edged sword. Because, again, you're not bringing nothing new to the table. Because if you talk about some real shit, like, to me, like, to a kid, that is real. Like, oh yeah, you heard I don't know, Young the Young, just made up some rapper's name. Like, you heard the Young, and he was talking about like selling drugs and stuff and doing all this. Is like, I mean, I've heard that as a kid in the 90s. I mean, okay. What's he saying about it? I mean, it's just the same thing. You see what I'm saying? And even now, people are trying to like. It's just a hard thing now. It's just hard these days. It just is, because it's just like, this is their experience. This is how they lived. But then it's like, we heard this already. And then the young kids are kind of like mad, like, no, like, y'all didn't show us the game, so we mad now. Like, but you don't have to have somebody show you. Like, they showed you in the music videos. Just go back. It's not like somebody is supposed to hold your hand. Okay, Young the Young, this is how you rap for real, and not all this other goofy shit you doing. And like, oh, but I want to do the goofy shit though. Like, nah, like, just go back and watch the music videos, or go to your father's, like, find his CDs and like listen to, like, the blueprint was already there. Like, if I want to know how to build a pyramid, I could just see the pyramids and be like, oh, that's how they made it. I don't need to have like some pharaoh to be like, okay, this is how you build a pyramid. I mean, like, okay, the structure's there. I don't need somebody holding my hand. It's just like I said, I like Final Fantasy. I don't need the dude who made Final Fantasy to hold my hand on how to make a RPG. I've been playing RPGs enough to know, like, if I wanted to have the exact structure, I would know how to do it because I played them long enough to know how the shit goes. I don't need dude that made Final Fantasy to hold my hand. So it's just like, oh, he didn't show me the game, so I'm gonna just come up with a goofy RPG that don't make sense. I'm gonna just be like, I know what I've seen it. Like if he wants to like mentor me or something, that's cool, but I don't need him to do it though. Like it would be nice, I guess, but I'm not looking for him to do it. I could just, say like, what was your influences? Like, oh, Final Fantasy 7, some of them Final Fantasies, RPGs and shit. And it'd be like, oh, if I meet him, you know what I'm saying? I meet him, like you was my inspiration to some of this shit. Then he'd be like, oh, hi, we'll kick it in Japan somewhere. And that's it. I'm not gonna sit up there and be mad at him because like, oh, you didn't show me the game and blah 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 blah. Like, what is that? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know, but like I said, this shit just don't feel authentic anymore. That's basically it. Like some people gonna get mad at this shit, but like I said, this is just how it was. Like I said, as a kid growing up, I mean, if we weren't talking about video games or something, we was talking about our favorite rappers and wanting to be like them. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, my whole thing was Buster. I always wanted a puffy coat like him. I mean, I could go on and on about Buster, but that was the dude. You see what I'm saying? It just ain't the same feeling. It just ain't the same. But like I said, just in music in general, I mean, you just gotta, come across somebody that's I was like, oh, okay, I like this person. Like it's this one black chick. I don't remember her name, but she's in like that rock rap genre. And she's new. And it was like, okay, she's cool, but that was like one person that I've heard in a long time. Like I said, I don't even know her name. I got a whole bunch of her songs. But she was like it that reminds me of the whole, like I would say she is more like, I'll say Linkin Park type shit. Because then she got like a dude like kind of like rapping or like singing his part. You know what I'm saying? Like who's a group that's like Evanescence? You see what I'm saying? Like that Bring Me Back to Life song was cool, and then even her other songs she had was cool. Like The Only One and what's the song? Whispers and Losing Control. You see what I'm saying? Like it ain't, like I said, I don't know. Maybe I'm not looking hard enough. But it just kind of, it just feels like people are not trying hard anymore because it's just so easy to rather get out there or whatever the case is. But it feels like there's no hard work. There's nobody being on some unique shit or saying something. Like, even though there's nothing new under the sun, but damn it, man, you can make a binary star or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can make something, you can make the sun feel new or put another sun there. That makes it binary, but you see what I'm saying? It's just no. But anyway, like I said, I wish I had a time machine and go back to my childhood or something. Cause I mean, all like who was that? Skee-Lo. I wish. Like, see, it's like shit like that. You see what I'm saying? Man, you know what I'm saying? But that's just like us, like I said, growing up, that's how we looked at it. Like I said, they didn't make Tupac into a thing until someone like kind of like after he passed, after he was killed, unfortunately, him and Biggie. But like I said, growing up, he was there. He was a rapper. People liked him, but he didn't turn into like this legend like how he is now. He was there, part of the group. Like I said, people liked him, but it wasn't like this thing now. But that's like every artist though. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure Leonardo da Vinci wasn't shit until he died, until like 100 something odd years later. Or like Picasso, like I don't like Picasso. You see what I'm saying? But he probably wasn't nothing until he died. He just did some abstract shit. It's like, oh, this is dumb. What the fuck is this? And then he passed, and 100 years later, now his art is worth like millions upon millions of dollars. It's the same thing. Like when you talk about like the greatest like drummers of all time. Like, I don't know. Some people, I don't know. Who was my man? Lars from Metallica. Like, I know he's one of the top. He has to be the top five. But what I'm saying is like John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. Like, if he's not number one, like he'll be number one because he's no longer here. But if he was still here, he probably wouldn't be number one. It's like that all the time. You see what I'm saying? Like Jimi Hendrix is one of the greatest guitarists of all time. But if he was still alive, would he be? He would just be like a legend, but he wouldn't be like the Jimi Hendrix. But I mean, this is just like people could debate about this forever. Matter of fact, it's just like how like I told this story before. It's just like with basketball. Like I remember at FedEx, and we was all in the break room, and we was talking about like who was the greatest basketball player of all time. And people was bringing up Jordan. And then at the time, this was in 2010, so it was like LeBron James. Like nobody brought up Steph Curry, but it was like not saying I don't know, but then people were it was Jordan, it was LeBron. They threw in Kobe, and everybody was saying like who was the greatest, like all because of this, that, and the other. And then people was bringing up stats, and then it was like Jordan had more rings than LeBron. LeBron, he ain't nothing. Kobe, he kind of getting close to Jordan, but he ain't nothing neither because he had rings. And then there's somebody was like if you talking about who has the most rings, what about Bill Russell? And everybody was like, oh, but see, who was he playing? He wasn't playing against nobody back when everything was in black and white. Like Bill Russell had more rings than everybody. But it was like, oh, fuck that. And then some dude brought up Derrick Rose, and people was like, oh man, fuck Derrick Rose, and he got in this dude's face. You see what I'm saying? But like, could Jordan beat LeBron now? Like I said, like then, because I was defending Jordan because again, I'm in Chicago when the Bulls was winning. I mean, all 6 championships, I'm here with the shit. You see what I'm saying? So like LA, like, oh yeah, Kobe, like I said, this is before he passed. But it was like Kobe, you know what I'm saying? Like he was trying to beat Jordan. So it was like, but people in LA are looking at Kobe like he is that dude. But it was like, fuck that. We're talking about Jordan. I mean, we're in Chicago, so it's like no matter what Jordan, it's just like even with Golden State, how they beat the 72-10 record of the Bulls. It's like I like Steph Curry, but it was like when he beat that record, him and Golden State, I was like, fuck him, man. You know what I'm saying? Because the Bulls will always be that team. We're in Chicago. So, you see what I'm saying? But like different regions are going to feel a certain way about their dude. Like when LeBron was winning with the Heat in Cleveland. Did he win with Cleveland? I ain't sure. But then people was hating LeBron James. I never got the LeBron James hate. That was weird. It was just like he's the new dude. I mean, it just felt weird with the hate with him. Like it was just weird. Anyway, but like I said, people gonna have their own thing though. But that's just how it is. Now, where am I trying to put this at? Like I said, people could debate about this. I mean, look, truth be told, I don't care about the debate. I just don't. Like, somebody could be like, oh, we gonna debate who's the greatest rapper of all time. It's like, look, no matter what anybody says, they're going to have their own thing. They're going to have their own rapper in their own time. Like, we would never know if LeBron or Jordan could beat LeBron, because even I brought up the fact that, you know, they had a different work ethic then. Even now, you got people do training and conditioning differently and have more science to the body now than they did in the 90s. You know, with different science and different stuff. So, like, LeBron could probably get injured. Like, him and Jordan in two different timelines could get the same injury. But LeBron probably would recover faster than Jordan because of the new science and the new medicines now. You see what I'm saying? So it would seem like, oh, LeBron, he could bounce back faster. They didn't have that then. So it's just, like I said, it's like a whole, like a thing that you would never know. We would never know these answers and questions and all this shit. Just like your favorite rapper. Like, no matter what I say, like, Busta Rhymes is that dude. You understand that? I would die on that hill. Listen, son, I will die on many hills for Busta Rhymes. But some people may not like that. They might like. Now, if somebody said DMX, I give them. I'm like, okay, that's. But like, if you're saying somebody else, especially somebody. But even then, back in the day, a lot of people's opinions would be valid, except for if you brought one rapper in. No, but most of the rappers back then, they all were the shit. All of them. I couldn't dispute none of it. Like, if somebody brought in Redman, like, to me, Busta Rhymes, for me, Busta is, for me, I'm saying this for me, I liked him more than Redman. Because Redman was crazy. Like I said, it's hard. Like I said, if somebody brought, like, what about Redman? Then it'd just be like, I mean, yeah, like, I be that. That shit was the shit. But as just Busta Rhymes just had more of a wild energy. Like, he like was running from tornadoes and shit. Like, it's just Busta Rhymes just had like a wild energy that I like. But like I said, but if you brought in any rapper back then, it was just all valid. But even if you brought in like some new dude coming in, but what about like Young Global? You'd be like, who the fuck is Young Global? And he'd be like, oh, but he made that song though. It's like, nah, man. But see, but I would never convince him with Busta Rhymes, Redman, or Method Man, or DMX. He'd be like, oh, but that's old though. What about Young Global though? Like what song? What song he made? Do you know? Could you name 3 songs by Young Global? He made that song Shortcuts. Like, what is that? I've never heard of it. And like, but your stuff old, I never heard of your old stuff though. See, it's just like he would die on the heel of Young Global. He would die for Young Global. You see what I'm saying? Or the cylinder. Like he would die. He like, you heard of the cylinder? No, I never heard of the cylinder. I never heard of that. Who was this? You see what I'm saying? But he would, that's his man though. The cylinder is the dude to him, and you ain't convincing him. Because the cylinder made that song that nobody heard of, and not too many people know. But he would die on the hill for the dude. And you would never know how he looked like, or if you saw him in a lineup, he got locks like everybody else, and you'd be like how would I know him from anybody else? But he the cylinder though in Young Global. You heard of the cylinder in Young Global song though? I'm like, no, I haven't. And he ain't like. If I'm gonna just say this. Now, the cylinder and Young Global is just somebody I made up. But if they actually had some hidden shit, then it'll just be like, that song is cool, but it's not going to be like the old shit. There's just nothing they can do. It's just nothing they can do. Like, I don't want to be biased or nothing, but it's just nothing they can do. It's just nothing they can do. Sorry, kid that's fighting for Young Global and the cylinder. It's just you could talk to you blue in the face. You ain't no. Stop. It's just stop. The cylinder ain't never gonna be like Redman or Busta. He ain't never gonna be like Onyx or like Sticky Fingers or you. Like I said, you don't even see groups like you don't even see rap groups no more hardly. You see what I'm saying? It's just, why did I select all that like one by one anyway? But you just don't see that type of shit no more. You don't see the like Outkast, like I said, Onyx. You don't see the Bone Thugs anymore. You just act like everybody's just the individualist. Like, I'm just doing this shit for myself for the most part. But that's on some. That's just how. That's just like I said. That's just how it is. I mean, bro. Like I said, somebody plays Busta, I'm gonna be like, oh shit. I gotta stop what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I gotta listen. It's just after this video, I should seriously play like When Disaster Strikes. I just gotta play that whole thing. You see what I'm saying? Cause like I said, I've rambled on too long, but again, it's just if I don't want to debate nobody. I just don't want to debate nobody. I'm not trying to debate nobody because you just never win. You could just never state your point, and for either side to just be like, okay, you won. Because again, with the Cylinder and Young Global, you could bring Young Global, you could bring the Cylinder, you could bring whoever. I could grab one dude and smoke all of them. I could bring Eminem. I could bring KRS-One. I could bring anybody, and you will get smoked. You could bring 100 dudes of this shit, and I could just bring one person, and that would be the end of you. But you would still down on the hill for Young Global though, and the Cylinder. But they would lose. They would just lose. They would just lose hard. But there's no convincing. After the smoke clears and Buster's still standing, he took out your whole army. You will still be like, but the Cylinder's still tight though. Like, no, he's not. Like, the Cylinder, Young Global, Young Taurus. What other objects is in here? You got, I don't know, the Cone. You could bring all of them. You could bring all the dudes. I just need one. I just need one dude. I just need one dude from the back in the day. You ain't beating them. It don't matter. I could bring a chick. Like I said, I could bring MC Lyte and Queen Latifah. I could bring any one person, and it would smoke your whole army. But again, you ain't winning this debate. So I'm like I said, I'm done rambling. But that's just how it is, man. That's just how it is. And then you got like Rakim and them. Like I said, it's just. Young Global, or Young DeYoung, he ain't nobody. Like, who is he? But anyway, I'm out, man. Money over Stank. Even with me, when I say money over Stank hoes, I got that from MF Doom. You see what I'm saying? So I'm out. Money over Stank hoes. That's all I gotta say. Money over Stank hoes.